As we leave the east side of Military Street on Water Street, I'm reminded that this building here, or this location here on the right, at one time not only housed the Southeastern Michigan Gas Company, but also the A&P store. You can see it in this photograph here as we zoom in. The building right behind that semi-truck is the Super A&P Market. Okay, as we cross Military Street now, we come, of course, to all four corners that intersect between Military and Water Street, and we've covered all four of these in previous videos, but we're going to go down the north side of Water Street, and on this corner here we've already looked at it in video number 44 in depth, but we'll just kind of touch on it right now. Originally it was just like every other corner, nothing remarkable about it, just stores, in this particular case a photo gallery. But eventually when the Miso brothers built their dry goods store on this corner, it became much more important. A lot of traffic went through on that corner. It was a very popular dry goods store. So popular that the business was so good that they increased it. As you can see here, there's only like 3 floors. But eventually it was up to 6 floors. They added 3 more stories to it. And it became the tallest building in Port Huron. And much later, as folks of my generation can attest to, this became the People's Savings Bank. And that's where most of us remember that building from. But all good things have to come to an end, and this building did come to an end. The building was demolished. And now there's nothing there, but it is a very attractive corner. The next building that was just west of the building that we've been looking at, the People's Bank / Miso's, was this building right here, probably one of the most unique buildings in Port Huron, I think. I always kind of thought of it as like a little castle on Water Street. Very unique architectural design. You can see this is a very early photograph because of the Miso store being only 3 stories. And during this time period, the building was occupied by the commercial bank. I'll just let you read this advertisement and I'll scroll down it for you. Notice that it says foreign exchange bought and sold here, and I'm sure they're referring to Canadian currency. And in this article written about the commercial bank, it says this: the commercial bank, situated on Water Street, commenced business in 1882, and their beautiful structure is one of the finest business places in the city. This is a strong and popular bank, capable of withstanding any crisis that might occur in the money market, and its officers are known throughout the state as gentlemen of rare ability and enviable social and financial standing. Theirs is one of the most imposing buildings in the county and located in the very heart of the business portion. Here's a coin that was given out to drum up a little business, and I'll show you why in a second. It has a picture of the bank right on the front of the coin, and down on the back it says this: we will accept this on deposit for 50 cents if you open a new savings account of $5 or more, leaving it in the bank 12 months and pay 3% compound interest on your savings. And then below that, I believe those are the dates where the compound interest kicks in: January 1st, May 1st, and September 1st. Although this photograph still says the commercial bank on it, after the war, the name was changed to the United States Savings Bank, and then later to the People's Bank. The 6-story building next door, which was the Miso dry goods store for many years, was purchased in 1925 and remodeled for banking purposes. Along with their former location next door, this became the home of the People's Bank. Before we go on to the next building, let's just look at a couple other things in this photograph. The first being the coal yard that was on the north side of Black River, and you can see it right here. This would have been the Muir Brothers coal yard, and you can see it here quite clearly. And then the other thing I want to look at is the drugstore. In the signage it says City Drugs, and that was owned by Harry Adams. Most old pictures that we see in this era, you see the Wastel drugs store. You can see in the insert here, Wastel drugs and medicines. So it was kind of unusual to see this signage here, and this would have came after Wastel. Here's something else I found very interesting. Look at this. It almost looks like our cold frame that we use to grow our vegetables when it's cold out. But I don't think that's what it is. I think it may be a skylight, a little bit different, especially for that time period. But it could be something else. The only thing I know that it's not is a solar panel. Alright, let's go to our next building, which is west of the building with the turret, and we can see it here. This was also a bank, which was quite unusual. I have two banks side by side. Today we don't think too much about it, but you didn't see many pictures with two banks side by side, and this was a private bank. This was owned by Mr. Boyce. So you can see, if we can just blow this up, we'll see where it says Boyce, and it was called the Boyce Bank. This top part of the building that says Boyce was eventually removed, probably because of liability issues. The building just became a shadow of its former self. Here's a much later picture, and you can see what it looked like during that time period, and you can see the top is long gone. And also the extended bay windows are gone as well. Also in the same building was housed the Violin Ola Company. And this was a company that made parts for the phonograph, which was a very big and upcoming thing back then. The early phonographs, of course, used the cylinders. And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but our hometown inventor, Thomas Edison, is the one who invented the phonograph. And here you see an advertisement for the same. I'm not sure what this advertisement is trying to prove, unless it's a really tough phonograph to hurt, but I don't think that's what they want to do to it. The kid's got a hatchet. After blowing this up, I see this writing here. This is looking for the band, and now I understand it. The kid's trying to tear this thing apart to find out where the band is. So I guess it wasn't so dumb after all. You also saw in this business description that it sold records for 39 cents. The cylinders were originally called records, and then they came out with the disc, or basically the records we know. They came out with those in 1890, so these records could have been either one that they sold. Before we go on to the next building, if you recall in our previous video, across the street where the Michigan National Bank used to be, and Bank of America, there was this building here, and on the side you can see quite plainly it was Thompson Furniture Company, as well as a couple other things. But now as we go on Water Street further west to the next building that we want to look at, we see that Thompson Furniture is in this building right here. This building has had a very unique history. Most of you recall the Opera House in Port Huron being the City Opera House on Military that you're looking at right here. But there was another opera house that was located in this building that's at one time held the Thompson Brothers Furniture Company. And that was the Harder Opera House. Now the Opera House at this location held about 500 people and took up the third and second floor of the building. We know this opera house had a capacity of 500 people because I found this article that was printed in the Traveler's Railway Guide for the eastern section of the United States, and sure enough, there's Port Huron. If you look down below, you see a Harder's Opera House, seats 500, where the Harrington, or the City Opera House, seated 800. Here's a little article I found in the Sarnia Observer newspaper. It says, Port Huron Times understands Mr. Clapp will render a clarinet solo at the concert to be given on the evening of the 18th at the Harder Opera House in that city. And as I look further, I found something else I thought was of interest regarding the Harder Opera House. And that's this newspaper article taken here from November 25th, 1895. It says, the place of amusement in Port Huron closed. Port Huron, Michigan, November 25. One of Port Huron's places of amusement has gone under. About 2 months ago, the old Harder Opera House was remodeled and opened up by W.H. Rudolph under the name of Bijou. After managing the place for 2 weeks and finding the place a losing investment, he turned the place over to Stevenson and Cole, who, after running it for a week, closed its doors and put up a sign that it would be open last Saturday. This, however, was not done, and there is a probability that the place will be opened in the near future. Well, this article was very revealing to me because it solved a mystery. And the mystery was this: I couldn't figure out quite what the signage at the top of this building meant, where it said the Bijou. And you can see it quite plainly as we zoom in. Whether the Opera House survived very long after that article, we don't know. But we do know the sign on top of the building survived for quite a while. We do know that by 1903, that the Harder Opera House, or the Bijou, was no longer there, and that space was occupied by the YMCA. And this was before the one that was on 6th Street. I think a lot of people, if not most people, today don't even know what YMCA stands for, and that would be the Young Men's Christian Association. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, the United States was in a time of expansion. When you think of the railroads that were going almost everywhere now, the young men on the farm no longer had to stay on the farm, and they were leaving. They were leaving for the city, for jobs. That calmed the mother's worries tremendously, to know that their son was at a place like the Young Men's Christian Association, where they wouldn't fall prey to the evils of the world. Of course, this wasn't 100% foolproof, but it certainly was an improvement over some of the places they could have stayed. So let's look a little closer at this advertisement. You can see in this first picture here, it shows a picture of the gymnasium. It's not real clear, but it gives you some idea of what it looked like. So let's see what the opinions of the association says. It says this: it goes without saying that whenever a young man is kept from going to the bad, not only is the man himself saved, but the whole community is benefited. And whenever a young man is helped to make more of his life than otherwise he could have made, not only is he helped, but the whole community again feels the benefit. Just such work as that is what the Young Men's Christian Association is doing, wherever it can be found. And it does it in the very best possible way, through the personal influence of young men upon young men. It is a Christian association. All of its work it does under the inspiration of the Spirit of Christ, the Spirit that stands with bowed head in the presence of the recognized fatherhood of God, and the Spirit that stretches out his hand while it has the strength to command the movements of its arm to the service of its fellows. All right, let's look at some of the privileges of joining the YMCA. It has a reading room equipped with a leading magazine and newspapers, a game room, checkers, chess, crokinole, whatever that is, if I'm saying it right, caroms, miniature bowling alley, etc. Bathrooms, shower, bath, gymnasium, 40 by 60 feet, well equipped, athletic field, I wonder where that was, and Sunday afternoon club, camera club, fine dark room, and a boarding house list, employment bureau, music club, and all these privileges for $5 a year. And of course it gives the address at the top there, 511 513 Water Street. Join me in my next video and we'll finish up at this location, and we'll just kind of mosey down the street and see what other interesting things there are on Water Street.